Hi everyone, I'm Megan and welcome back to another lab video for Analytics and Decision Sciences 4293 Professional Analytics. In this lab, we will be exploring some Excel and VBA tips, namely the data validation tool, the offset function, the VLOOKUP function, and pivot tables. If you like the material presented in this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. The material presented in this lab will be based on VBA for Modelers, the 5th edition by Christian Albright, and Case 9B11E018 by Dennis Lee, which you can find on Ivey cases through the link provided below. For this video, I will be using Microsoft Excel and VBA. If you would like, please feel free to open Excel and follow along as I explain some tips for using Excel and VBA. Let's get started!
First, I will explain the data validation tool. This tool allows Excel users to restrict the number of possible values that can be entered into a specific cell. It is useful in eliminating possible errors in data entry. To use this tool, first we need to select all the cells that we want to validate. For this example, we select cells B2 to B8. Then we navigate to the Data ribbon and select Data Validation. So once we are here, under the settings, we can select the level of restriction required and add an error message. So for this example, we're restricting the number of orders to be a positive integer. So for allow, we're going to change this to whole number, and we can make a minimum of 0 and a maximum of 1000, which is just a super high number that is not going to be able to hit for this example. Then we can also add an error alert. So we can add a title or just an error message. So here I'm going to say that the value inputted is not a positive whole number. So this, if we put in the wrong number, it'll just pop up and it'll ask the user to try again. So to apply this to the cells, we can just select OK and start inputting values into the number of orders. So if we start with just a positive whole number, say 12, we can see that that goes in nicely. We can do it again with, say, 59. So next, if we try to do a negative number, so let's do negative 10, as you can see, we get an alert here that says the value inputted is not a positive whole number. So we can retry, and if we make that to positive 10, it works again. So now we can try to input a decimal. So if we do 23.2, we get the same error message. So when we retry, we can just put in 23 without a decimal and it works. So lastly, we can try to insert text into one of these cells. And as you can see, we get the error alert again, which just indicates that we can't put text in the cell. It has to be a positive whole number, which we can change to 11. Next, we will investigate the offset function. This allows the user to navigate a certain number of rows and columns away from a specified cell and find the value within that cell. Navigating to the offset sheet, we can see 3 different examples using the offset function. For the first example, we are starting in cell A2 and offsetting 0 rows and 1 column. So by offsetting 0 rows, that means we'll remain in row 2, and offsetting 1 column means we're going to move 1 column to the right, which is column B. So when we run this formula, we expect to get apple, which is the value that we get. So now doing example 2 here, we are again starting in cell A2, and we're going to offset 4 rows, which means going to go down 4 rows and offsetting 1 column, which means we're going to go to the right once. So we expect the value to be watermelon, which is what we get. And then for the final example, here, we're starting in cell B7 and navigating -4 rows, which means we are going up 4 rows and navigating -1 columns. So that means we're going to the left once, and we expect the output here to be 5013. So when we run that, that's the value that we get. We can also use offset as an object in VBA. So opening up Visual Basics, we can write a sub that starts at A2 and offsets 4 rows and 1 column with a message box of the output. So what we're going to expect here is the same output as in example 2, which is watermelon. So first we are going to insert a new module, and then we are going to write our sub procedure and name this offset example. So first we are going to have output equal to the range of A2. So just like when we are using the offset function, we have to start at a specific cell. So we're starting at cell A2, and then we are going to use the offset object and offset 4 rows and 1 column, and then select the value. So from here, we are going to create a message box and just have the output be our output for the message box. So when we run that macro, we get the output watermelon, which is what we expected. The next function I will introduce is the VLOOKUP function. It searches for a specific value and returns a column value that is in the same row as the value we are searching for. So to use this function, we're first going to navigate to the VLOOKUP sheet, as that is where all of our data is stored for this example. So looking at the formula I have already written out here, let's look at it to see what it's doing. So first we have the value of 9001, which is going to be the value within the table we are searching for. So for this example, this just corresponds to an ID number, and we're going to be looking for the product type that corresponds with that ID number. So next, we have the cells in the table, or the range of the table, and then we have 2, which denotes the column within the table that we are looking for the value of. So for this example, we are looking for the product type corresponding to 9001. So that would be cell 2 or column 2 in the table. And then finally we have false, which means that we are looking for an exact match to 9001. So when we run this function, we get the value of orange, which, as we can see here, is the product type that corresponds to 9001. So we could also use HLOOKUP, but this performs the same function horizontally, which is also very useful. The final tool we will be investigating in this video is the pivot table. This extracts insights from large sets of data, but is particularly useful when we have categorical data. So we're going to navigate to the sheet Pivot Tables and select all of the data for us to make the pivot table. So for this example, it's going to be cells A1 to D32. So now we're going to navigate to the Insert ribbon and select the pivot table icon. So as you can see here, we can put the pivot table on a new worksheet or the existing worksheet that we are working on. But for this example, I'm just going to add it to a new worksheet. So now we have 4 different field names which correspond to the 4 columns we had in our table or our data set. And we can drag any of the field names to the different areas. So I'm going to start by dragging gender into the rows and values. So as you can see, we now have row labels of male and female, and then we also have the count of the gender. So if we click this little icon here, we can change what we are having the values do. But for this example, since we just have categorical data, it only makes sense to use the count function. So next, I'm going to drag employee type to the rows. So as you can see, we now have full-time and part-time under female, as well as under male. So this just shows how many of our female employees are full-time or part-time. And then we can also add college graduate to the rows. So this further splits the female and full-time categories into being college graduates and not college graduates. And the same thing happens for the male category here. So we can also drag the college graduate to the columns, which just shows how many college graduates we have and how many non-college graduates we have and how that is split up for the data. So finally, if we have something in filters, so I'm going to drag college graduate to filters, we can change this. So if we just select college graduates and we get rid of that, we can see that now we only have the data for when we have college graduates in here. So there are 9 female college graduates and 6 male college graduates, and it splits that into full-time and part-time. So I encourage you to play with pivot tables by using the data on the sheet employee sales, as it has all the previous information with the addition of sales. You can change the values to sum or average the sales to find meaningful information that you wish to extract from the data set.
That's all the material I have for you in this lab video, although I will be posting another video regarding more Excel tips where we explore form controls. I hope you found the material presented helpful when using Excel and VBA for decision modeling. If you like this video, please make sure you leave us a like and a comment, as well as subscribe to our channel. If you are interested in more videos, please check out our playlist where we describe other ways to use VBA. Thanks for watching. Bye!